Seikima-II.
Video games and popular music have had a long, strange history together. Since the beginning, titles like Journey, Crewball, and Michael Jackson's Moonwalker have all been engineered and designed to squeeze money out of the legions of these artists' loyal fans. Whether it's Aerosmith rallying against a dystopian government, the Wu-Tang Clan avenging their fallen kung fu master, or Marky Mark teaching you how to feel the vibration, the symbiosis has maintained, for better or worse. This brings us to today's game, Seikima-II, the Demon's Counterattack. You're probably wondering, wait a minute, what happened to Seikima-I? Seikima-I doesn't exist. The band's name, Seikima, translates to Holy Devouring Demon, but with the "II" added at the end, becomes a play on Seikima-II, which means end of the century. This band's whole shtick was foretelling the apocalypse that would take place on December 31st, 1999, which is when the band broke up in real life. For the first time, anyway. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's stage dive into this thing. In Seikima-II, you play as the band's lead singer Demon Kogure, who's on an unholy quest to free his imprisoned bandmates, Jail, Raiden, Ace, and Xenon. Once the band is reunited, they'll be able to summon the power of Satan to Earth by means of heavy metal. But first, there will be lots of awkward and frustrating platforming, collecting assorted items, reclaiming the souls of the damned that follow the band, and stealing a king's ransom of money bags. Even in hell, you gotta pay the bills. Starting things off in Jail Zone, you enter an evil forest full of clinically depressed tree stumps to rescue your backing guitarist, the appropriately named Jail. Clashing with unspeakable terrors like butterflies, sea urchins, and invincible Easter Island heads, the mission will not be easy. On top of all of this, the stages aren't designed like your standard left-to-right 8-bit platformer. Instead, to advance, you need to collect every single item on each stage. Once you do, multiple trapdoors open on the bottom of the screen. Each one will lead you to a different part of the zone, most of which are out of order. In short, to clear the zone you're in and liberate your comrades, you'll be doing some backtracking and guesswork. I wouldn't refer to the zones as mazes necessarily because the layouts are fairly simple. It's a game from 1986 after all. The only way you're getting lost is if you don't pay attention to where you're going. Upon freeing Jail from jail, you ascend to Raiden Zone, which appears to be the kingdom of heaven, to lay waste to tiny angels and birds of prey, while evading the ever-menacing threat of indestructible balloons. I will admit that seeing this pissed-off demon stomping around and trashing such a bright and lighthearted stage of cute little critters never fails to entertain. As each zone progresses, the enemies become increasingly powerful, so if you ever see this floating eyeball, jump into it to access the game's shop. There, you can restore your health, upgrade your weapons, and reclaim the band's instruments, which is necessary in order to get the game's true ending. Once you upgrade from rocks to throwing knives, you can easily vanquish the tiny knight standing guard against your drummer, Raiden. With your rhythm section restored, the next stop is Ace Zone, an ancient temple littered with snakes, insects, and floating morning stars. Your enemies appear to move and attack more erratically here than the previous stages, so be cautious. You're also going to have to upgrade those throwing knives to axes, and if you have enough money left over, move straight on to fireballs. Because the idea of having to hit bugs 3 or 4 times is fairly redundant, don't you think? Hopefully you've been spending your money wisely, because you can only collect so much in a given stage, and the items necessary for success only become more expensive the further you get. Just like real life. Everyone knows that your metal band is only as good as your lead guitarist, which means you better hurry on to bail out Ace. Another tiny knight stands between you two, so hit him from behind with a volley of fireballs to clear the stage and break the chains. Yeah, that was a less than subtle Dokken reference. The band is almost back together, but one important piece of the puzzle is still missing. Descending into Xenon Zone, which is for all intents and purposes the underworld, you'll be running amok around oversized skulls and giant tombstones. Meanwhile, mummies and, let me get this straight, priests pursue you with extreme prejudice. Yeah, you started off killing butterflies, but now you're murdering scores of devout men of the cloth. But what are priests doing down here anyway? Guys, I think this might be a Nintendo game that features a holy war. I can't confirm it yet, but the fact that I'm throwing vampire bats at priests and exploding them cannot be overlooked. And it's fairly clear that this is supposed to be hell, because there is a huge CVS Sony brand placement in one of the rooms. Let's bust Xenon out of here and tackle the final stage. The Zeus Zone. Ladies and gentlemen, this is it. The culmination of all your busted jumping mechanics and collectathon. Seikima-II are finally reunited and back at full strength, ready to rock, roll, and out of control. There's only one obstacle left in your path, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it for you because I simply can't. Take a look for yourselves. The boss of the game is, and I kid you not, Jesus Christ. The Lord, the Light, and the Truth himself is engaged with you in a duel to the death. Even though we're technically in the Zeus Zone, I know the difference between the big guys upstairs. And this one clearly did time in Jerusalem. Just look at that crown of thorns. Besides, Zeus is famous for throwing lightning bolts, and this ain't lightning. The culmination of today's adventure is Demon Kogure against Jesus, engulfed in a storm of bats, raging a vicious battle with creation itself on the line. Once victorious, the band performs a concert for its legions of ghostly fans, finally bringing the glory of darkness and despair back to Earth forever. You know, I think this may be the most metal video game ever made. Devil May Cry, God of War, Dante's Inferno, Brutal Legend, Splatterhouse, Diablo? All of these are kindergarten nap time baby games compared to Seikima-II, the Demon's Counterattack. And to think this game was released in 1986 is insane. It's no surprise this one never made it out of Japan. I don't think the concept would have flown in America back then, or now for that matter. After initially disbanding in 1999, in the following years Seikima-II have returned, with several lineup changes along the way. To this day, Demon Kogure, now known as Demon Kaka, remains an extremely popular and influential presence. And aside from gaming, he's appeared in everything from the band's original video animation to a cameo on Fist of the North Star, and even car commercials and variety shows. The cult favorite series Detroit Metal City is directly inspired by Seikima-II as well. The easiest Western comparison to the band would be Kiss, but musically, Seikima-II have more in common with Judas Priest, which makes them cooler by default. Do a bit of digging and you can find all sorts of awesome stuff about this band, as well as some killer tunes. Seikima-II, the Demon's Counterattack, on the Famicom is unique. And despite some clunky controls and the occasional annoying bit of backtracking, it's kind of fun. It won't be on anyone's list of greatest platformers of all time, but there are much worse ways to kill roughly 45 minutes. Give it a look if you're into retro games that don't get a lot of exposure, and you may end up enjoying yourself like this guy.
You shall never return home!